welcome to another episode of Well-Adjusted Mama. I'm your host, Dr. Laura Brayton, and today we will be focusing on postpartum doulas with my guest, Jen Kowal. For almost 20 years, Jen has been providing restorative, gentle, compassionate, and practical support for families in northern New Jersey throughout the childbearing year. Jen is a trained and experienced birth and postpartum doula, a certified lactation counselor, Matron Quantum Birth Consultant, sacred pregnancy instructor, and childbirth educator. She also provides numerous other services to support the physical and emotional recovery and well-being of the new mother, such as placenta encapsulation, Malaysian Belly Binding, and more. Jen believes that all mothers and dads and partners do have a deep inner understanding guiding them in how to best care for their infant. But with all the books, workshops, experts, and unwanted advice out there, we forget how to listen to that intuition. Jen strives to provide a reassuring and comfortable environment in which parents feel safe exploring their abilities and practicing new skills. Sometimes simply having an experienced and knowledgeable person at your side is all you need for peace of mind as you learn to care for your precious newborn. Parents often say they feel more prepared and confident after working with Jen. Contact her for more information about her varied services at her website, montclairdoula.com. Welcome, Jen.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Yes, I am thrilled. You have come with so many recommendations. People really rave about you as a professional with all of the birth services that you provide, and I'm excited to learn more about postpartum doulas and how they can benefit women.
Awesome. It's a message that really needs to get out there.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
It really does. So let's start off with just giving a description about what is a postpartum doula.
Sure, absolutely. So a lot of people still think of the word postpartum, and they think it means depression. And so I'm really surprised at how often that I'm really still educating people that I'm not just working with depressed moms, that I am actually working with women after birth. When it comes down to it, the word postpartum simply means after birth. So I'm working with new moms after the baby is born, helping them in their home, learning to care for their baby.
Mm-hmm. Right. That is fascinating that postpartum is just culturally linked to depression.
It's such a shame. Yeah.
It's very sad because postpartum, like you said, it literally is just after birth. So it's any woman who's just given birth is postpartum, despite her mood.
Right.
Her
I mean, I've met women who are, I've met women whose babies are 20 years old and they're still saying, I'm still postpartum. What's wrong with me? And I'm like, yeah, well, anytime after birth.
That's great. Oh, my goodness. That's so funny. Cool. So that's what you do as a postpartum doula. Tell us about how postpartum doulas are different from other types of birth care providers like midwives or OBs, for example.
Sure. So OBs and midwives are medical care providers. So they specialize in the actual medical needs of the pregnant and laboring woman, and then they also provide medical care after birth. Mm-hmm. Labor doulas provide emotional support, information, hands-on physical and emotional support, during pregnancy, but also during labor and birth, and a little bit of resources for after birth as well. Mm-hmm. Baby nurses and night nannies, they're usually non-medical personnel. They're usually lay people. Some baby nurses might have licenses, but usually their job is just to come in and care for the baby while mom rests and recovers. And so to that end, they might be doing bottles and diapering and baby feeding and dressing. They might, take over the care of the baby overnight while mom catches up on her sleep. Unlike all of those, the postpartum doula does not provide any medical care, but very much like a birth doula does, she provides informational care and resources and compassionate guidance and support for the new mom and the baby and the whole family. I look at my job as a postpartum doula as mothering the mother. Where, when we go to our OB and our midwife, we're just getting our medical questions answered, and we're kind of in and out in a very short period of time, and we're not getting the emotional needs met. So my job as the postpartum doula, I really feel like, is meeting the mom where she is emotionally. My goal is to foster confidence in the new parents. Well, like answering that slew of questions that everyone has after a baby is born, and helping them get their needs for rest and nourishment met. It's the one thing that everybody talks about is, like, you have to make food for after the baby is born. You have to freeze all these meals. It's going to be so hard to take a shower. And you don't really understand what they're talking about until you have a baby in your home and you haven't showered in 2.5 days and you can't remember when your last meal was. And all of a sudden you go, oh, now I know why they were telling me to do that. And postpartum doula can help fill that gap.
Yeah.
And so unlike your medical care team, which is really looking out for your medical needs, the postpartum doula is helping look out for your emotional needs, your physical needs for rest and nourishment, but also providing really good evidence-based care in infant feeding, in normal postpartum recovery, normal newborn development, and the stuff that you would go to Dr. Google for. Otherwise, now you have a person in your home who specializes in this.
Yeah, like an advisor, actually, to help you navigate.
That's a nice word, yeah.
The questions that come up, and like you said, point the new mom and the parent and the partner to resources to help get their questions answered, so that they're feeling, like you said, confident and supported. It's really about that support that's so necessary after giving birth. And so for most of the families you're working with, you start in their home as soon after birth, as soon as they give birth, correct?
It really varies. When I first started as a postpartum doula, I was getting the bulk of my calls by mamas and their partners when the baby was about a month old.
Oh.
And it came as a result of, they just hadn't heard that the postpartum doula existed. And then they started talking to friends and family and care providers, or they were getting back into their real world, and they were talking about how much they were struggling at home for the last month. And then they would start to hear about the postpartum doula, and they would hear my name. And so they would call me as they were, a month into being new parents, and I would step in at that point and do a lot of the same stuff. I would still help with meal preparation. I would hold and snuggle baby while mom and dad get caught up on a lot of missing sleep. And as my practice has aged and grown, I'm getting more and more calls, not just for right after baby is born, but I'm getting calls for postpartum care when women are 3 and 4 months pregnant. They're calling me well ahead of time, and they're saying, we have heard that this is a much-needed resource. I really want to make sure that you're available for me in 6 or 7 months. And they're hiring early on in their pregnancies, which I just think is wonderful.
That is really wonderful. It's about being prepared. And so I think the message here is while you're pregnant is the time to connect with a postpartum doula. Not after giving birth. When
not
you're already overwhelmed.
Exactly. Let's try and cushion that overwhelm a little bit by providing some support from day one.
So if a woman has hired you before she gave birth, if she's had a home birth, you're there soon after, I guess. And then if she's home from the hospital, the same thing. Like you could start as soon as she needs that support.
Absolutely, right. So a lot of times I have them call me, if not while they're in labor, at least as soon after the baby is born. That way I can clear my schedule and make sure that I'm available for them the day they get home, and if not, maybe the next day. And it brings having somebody meet you in your home the day you get there or the very next day be so, so comforting because, first of all, you just can't believe that the hospital let you leave with this baby. Most I hear it time and time and time again where couples are like, I was really excited to leave. All I wanted to leave. And then as I was driving away, I was thinking, oh, my God, I can't believe they let me. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to take care of this baby. I can't believe they let me leave. Mm-hmm. And then they get home and they take the baby out of the car with the car seat and all, and they walk the baby into the house and they lay the baby down in the car seat on the coffee table, and they sit down on the couch and they just look at their beautiful baby and they go, now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
The rest of your life.
Right? Exactly. Like, do I leave the baby here and then go back out and finish unloading the car? Do I take my sleeping baby out of the car seat? Like, it can sound silly to talk about, but in reality, you're just in the hospital. Everybody told you what to do and how to do it, and now you're home and you're like, I don't know what to do. I love meeting couples at home that first day, helping get the car unpacked, helping get their hospital bags unpacked. Maybe I'll start a soup or a stew on the stove while they're getting settled into their home. I'll encourage them to walk their baby through their home and introduce the baby to every room of the house, introduce the baby to any pets that may be there, and just help them feel a little bit more comfortable back in their home with their baby. Get them settled up for that first night, get them settled in with snacks and water bottles and whatever I can do that first day to help ease that really, really big transition.
Mhm. Wow, that sounds amazing. I mean, it's really about mothering the mother. And, I just feel warm and cozy with that description of how you're supporting these women. It's just like, wow, this is beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so typically after that occurs, how often are you going to the home to assist, and for how long does that happen?
So it really, really varies. What I do love about my job, one of many things that I love about my job, is that it's totally organic. It changes from family to family. It changes from day to day within the family. And I love watching how it changes as the weeks go by. So for one family who may not have any other resources available to them, like friends or family around, and they know they need a lot of support, I might be in their home 3, 4, 5 times a week that first week or two.
Yeah.
For another family who has tons of family around, I might just pop in once or twice that first week just to answer some questions about breastfeeding and see how mom's recovering. And then after the family leaves or after the partner returns back to work, mom might see me a little more frequently. So it really depends on what's going on within their extended family, within their network of support, and what they need. And I try to schedule all of my jobs around helping each family have as much support as they need in the very beginning, and then tapering it down as the weeks go by. Mm-hmm. As you're starting to feel better, as you're starting to feel a little bit more in the groove, as you're getting to know your baby a little bit better too, and realizing, I got this.
Right.
I'll just use Jen for questions, or maybe I'll use Jen one day to take a much-needed nap.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that's really fascinating that this is kind of an ongoing conversation that you have with the family of where their needs are at that point and how you can assist them and serve them. And like you mentioned, every family is different, and also every day to every week is different as well. And as the woman is physically, more healed and recovered from the physical birth, she's able to do more physically. And and the baby is more on a schedule, or at least there's more of a routine perhaps that's occurring.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense that you're needed more in the beginning and potentially less as the weeks go by.
Yes, usually. So in essence, I'm working myself out of a job.
Right.
Which you never hear about.
I know, right? But then they have another baby, so.
Right.
Or friends are having babies. So there's always babies being born and mothers needing mothering. You typically do this type of service up until about 3 months postpartum. Is that true? That's
when I typically start transitioning moms and families who still need other support. I usually start transitioning them into nannies or other kinds of caregivers at that point, but I am still available to them to answer more specific questions regarding infant development and maybe as they're weaning their baby and they have questions about starting first foods and complementary foods. Like, I'm still available to my clients to answer questions like that. But I really find that most moms just need the support in the first couple of months. And, outside of extenuating circumstances, maybe if a woman has multiples or she's really struggling with emotional complications due to pregnancy and postpartum, then I make exceptions for those moms and I stay on a little bit longer. Right. But for most moms, I'm even finding lately that I'm not still seeing them 3 months into the game. Like we're doing a lot of work in the very beginning, and then we're just sort of keeping touch towards the end of that fourth trimester, by the time the baby's 3 months old.
Right.
And some postpartum doulas work straight through the first 3 months. Some postpartum doulas work longer than 3 months. Just for me, I typically don't work beyond 3 months.
Okay, so that's good to know that other postpartum doulas have different schedules of how they work.
Absolutely, and some of it may come from their personal ideas of what it means to support mom and what needs mom may have and how it may, for them, it may resonate that they support longer than 3 months. For other doulas, that decision may come from their trainer or their certifying agency. So a good question to ask of a postpartum doula is, how long are you available to support me for?
Okay, yeah, that's a good one. So I know you covered a couple things that you actually do in the home to support a new mom and family, like making meals and snuggling with the baby while the parents are sleeping. What other types of activities are you actually doing to help support the mother?
Sure. So, you know that laundry pile that just sits in the corner? Yeah. I see that laundry pile just as well as you do, and I know what it feels like to have a pile of laundry just sitting there growing and growing and growing. So I'll just pull some things out and throw it in the wash. And it doesn't sound like much, but it's huge to get your laundry started. And it's also surprising to me how much laundry a baby produces. I always tell my couples that babies make more laundry themselves than the two of the parents combined. And people are usually like, really? But no, it is. The babies make a lot of laundry. So in addition to that, I might do errands. Maybe mom and I make a shopping list together, and on my way to work the next day, I stop at the grocery store and pick up a few things. It's amazing how quickly you run out of laundry soap and toilet paper when everyone is home for the first couple of weeks after birth. Paper towels, in addition to foods. I also help with breastfeeding, and most postpartum doulas do have some understanding of how to support with breastfeeding, how to identify a good latch, how to help with positioning. I personally have a little bit of extra training in breastfeeding support, And sometimes I feel like I'm getting hired specifically because of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women they understand that breastfeeding, great breastfeeding doesn't necessarily come easily. And it's not as easy as, baby's mouth plus breast equals breastfeeding. It's not that simple equation. And so they feel really comfortable knowing that they have someone in their home who has extra training in breastfeeding support. And I get to provide that as well. In addition, like you said, to the snuggling and making sure that mom is getting the rest that she needs, I'm available to answer questions on what does normal postpartum recovery look like. You get home and 2 days in, you go to the bathroom and you're still passing golf ball size clots of blood, and you want to know if this is normal. And you have a growing list of questions that you feel like you need to call your care provider for, and they're nagging you, and you're on Dr. Google again, trying to figure out, is this normal, is this not? Having your postpartum doula in the home can be a nice buffer, can help you understand what is normal postpartum recovery. Is it okay that I'm still passing these clots of this size? Is it okay that I'm bleeding this much, or that my breasts feel like this? Is it okay that I'm feeling really anxious when my baby cries, or that my brain is racing and I can't stop thinking and I can't sleep? Like, it's really nice to have somebody in the home that you can ask all these questions of and help you decide when you need to call your care provider.
Right.
And when you don't.
Right. That's such a valid point, because a lot of these questions can be answered by a trained postpartum doula who's had so much experience with helping women in that specific phase of their life, immediately, after giving birth, that first 3 months. And they can handle and manage these questions, and the birth provider may not need to be called, and they're not always available to get back very quickly either. So if it's non-emergency, then it's something that can be handled by the postpartum doula.
Absolutely. I get calls and text messages all the time from my clients when they say, the umbilical cord still hasn't fallen off yet. What should I do? Or I wake up to pictures of poopy diapers on my phone, and I'm like, really? But it's great, because they know that if they send me a picture and there's something not right, then I'll recommend that they call their care provider, or I can say that is 100% exactly what we're looking for, and they feel like they can exhale in comfort and ease and not really worry about it.
That's right. I mean, I think a lot of it is you're extremely trained in recognizing normal, so when something's outside of normal, then that would be the red flag to refer out. But a lot of times it is completely normal.
Most of the time it is completely normal.
Most of the time,
but it's not mama's normal, because she's never been through it before.
Right.
And so that's a really great way of putting it.
Mhm. So we talked about how sometimes, the first couple weeks there might be friends, family visiting, even from out of town, like moms or mother-in-laws who are helping to support the mother. Would a postpartum doula be a redundant person to have in the house?
It would seem like it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's really not. The postpartum doula really fits very well into the extended family.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we have our mothers come, or our mother-in-law come, and they're really excited to meet their grandbaby, and they're really excited to cook for you. And that may be exactly what they want to do. They may be really fantastic at making sure that the new mom has lots of good food in the home. But maybe the grandma, maybe what she's not sensitive to is the barrage of questions that she's asking the new mom, and should she do this, and should she do this, and where do you keep the oil, and where do you keep, and where should I go grocery shopping for this, and the barrage of questions for the new mom who's over here trying to feed her new baby can be really stressful. And maybe the grandma in her excitement to help out just doesn't remember quite what it's like that first, the first hours and the first days and weeks home where everything is just so overwhelming.
Yeah.
So the postpartum doula, it's a really great fit in that dynamic, in that I can come in and help navigate the waters between the generations a little bit. Help answer the questions for the grandmother that the mom just doesn't need to answer in that moment while she's trying to rest and snuggle her baby. Some grandmas might have really very, very strong opinions on how moms should do things based on how they did them. And those things may have worked beautifully and brilliantly for that mom 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
And maybe those things would work for this mom as well. But it can be really hard when you're a new mom, too, to not feel like everyone making suggestions to you is telling you what to do. And that's really, really hard to say to anyone, thank you for caring, but I can't hear that right now. I need to figure out my way.
Right.
The new mom really
it's like a buffer, actually, to take the emotional component out of such an emotional time in someone's life and just say, you know what, we all, this mother is going to learn mothering on her own terms.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And then there's, on the other side of it, too, then there's the grandmas who come in and they just want to hold and love and snuggle on those beautiful new grandbabies. And the dishes are piling up in the kitchen. I get to provide that background support back there and cook meals, and I just basically fill in the gaps wherever they might be so grandma doesn't feel obligated to also having to tend to the household tasks.
Right, because she's maybe became a grandmother for the first time,
Exactly.
and she's wanting to cherish that experience as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just get to fill in the gaps wherever they might be that day.
Cool. That's really
and
great.
with dads and brothers, I can show and share with all the different members of the family ways that they can connect and bond with their baby that doesn't necessarily involve feeding, which seems to be the one way that everybody wants to, quote-unquote, bond with baby. I want to give a bottle. I want to feed baby because it looks so wonderful. And I get to share with expectant or new parents and their family members, here are wonderful ways that you can connect and bond with baby as well without actually feeling like you have to give a bottle. So I improve everyone's bonding experience and help everyone in the family, extended family and beyond, all feel connected to this new baby, this new family member.
Right. Yeah, if the baby's being exclusively breastfed, then that's going to be a mother-only job, but there's so many other ways to bond with that newborn by the other family members.
So many.
Yeah. Are there any common misconceptions about postpartum doulas?
Yeah, actually, there are. Two of the big ones I get, like I was mentioning at the beginning of the show, is about what I'm actually doing and who I'm actually working with. Like, I'm not just working with women who are depressed. I'm a postpartum doula, which basically means an afterbirth doula. Now, I do get a lot of work from women who are struggling with mood and anxiety complications, but that's because I have a lot of experience doing that, and so my name is out there with a lot of mental health care providers. So when women come in struggling, my name gets offered as a really great resource for new moms who are struggling with depression or anxiety. But that doesn't mean my work is limited to that. I get to work with new moms who aren't struggling emotionally. I get to work with new moms who aren't struggling with breastfeeding, and I get to work with new moms who aren't struggling with anything. So there's a huge spectrum of what the postpartum period can look like, and I get to support through that entire spectrum of whether your recovery is going beautifully well and your adjustment is smooth and easy and like white linens billowing in the breeze, or I get to support when things really aren't pretty.
Yeah.
And all that transpires in between there. So, yeah, one of the biggest misconceptions is that as a postpartum doula, I'm just working with depressed women, and it's just not true. I'm working with women throughout the whole spectrum of postpartum care.
Right.
And then I'd say the other big misconception is that a postpartum doula would only support one particular parenting style. You know, I've had women hire me as a birth doula when they say to me, I know I'm going to get an epidural. How do you feel about that? And I say, it's your birth. I'm just there to support you, whatever you need. And they say, I cannot find a doula who would support that. And it breaks my heart. I feel the same way as a postpartum doula. It is not my job. It is not my role to tell you how to do anything. My role and my job is to share with you all the ways of doing things and help you find the one that fits best for you.
Yeah.
And then once you find the one that fits best for you, help you work that into your family, help you work that into your life, and support you along the way. So if that means you want to exclusively breastfeed, I will do everything I can to support that. If you need to supplemental feed your baby, we'll figure out what that means for you. If you know you are just going to primarily formula and bottle feed, well, I'm there to help teach you how to use your pump and sterilize your bottles and share with you how much to feed your baby and answer all of the questions that are going to go with that particular feeding style. If you know you don't want to co-sleep, you want your baby in a crib in the other room, I'm going to support whatever it is that you want. I'm not going to push co-sleeping, on someone. The postpartum doula should not project an agenda on the new family. Her role there is really to educate and to inform and to offer ideas for things that the mom and dad may not have thought of. And then be able to support whatever the choices are that family makes for themselves.
Right. I think a lot of it is just providing that education of all the options that are available so that mom's decision really is coming from an educated place and an empowered place as opposed to making decisions based out of fear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You kind of covered my last question about good questions to ask when you're interviewing someone to hire as a postpartum doula. How do they feel about different parenting styles or feeding choices? Are there any other questions that you would recommend?
Well, there's actually a list of questions. If you go to the Doulas of North America website, I think it's Dona, DONA.com. I may be wrong, but they have a list of questions to ask a postpartum doula. Some of them might be like, what training have you had? Have you had any CPR certification? I feel like those questions the questions that you ask are going to be dependent on really what you're looking for. If you want to know how many years experience, and you really want someone who has 8 or 10 years of experience, or you want somebody who has a ridiculous amount of experience with newborns or working with moms who have emotional complications, and those are going to be the questions you're going to ask to help you filter out the people who don't have that sort of background. But for someone who really just wants to feel comfortable settling into new motherhood, who can fill in the gaps while they're recovering from birth, you might just ask conversational questions like, why did you get into this line of work? Or what do you like best about doula work? And those questions are just going to help you and the prospective doula have a conversation that's going to help you get to know her and decide whether or not you resonate with her. You want to feel really, really comfortable with whoever's going to be in your home. This is a very, very intimate time.
Right.
I find myself sitting on couples' beds while they're crying and baby is snuggling at mom's breast and she's got a tear dripping down her face and she's talking about her birth story and her partner's sitting on the bed snuggling her with his arm around her and I'm sitting cross-legged. It's very intimate to be in someone else's bedroom, let alone on their bed with them while their breast is hanging out and tears are pouring down their face. It's very, very intimate. You want to go into this period feeling very comfortable with the doula you've chosen. You want to feel like you can really be yourself and let it out if it needs to come out.
Yeah.
Not always.
It's so
it doesn't
true.
Always look like, yeah. It doesn't always look like tears in the middle of the bed. Sometimes it's really beautiful and we're laughing hysterically in the bedroom. But it's still, how often do you get to go into another couple's bedroom? How often are you in their bathroom and doing someone's sink? It's just very, very precious, intimate work.
Mm-hmm.
And you really want to feel like this person who is in your home doing this work with you, you want to feel very comfortable with them. And so for you, maybe the questions you ask aren't so much about what kind of training did you have or how many years experience. You really just want an emotional connection with that person.
Yeah, like almost if she could be like a girlfriend, someone that you can trust and feel comfortable because it's very vulnerable, that period of a woman's life. And so you have to if you want to feel like you can just open up and let it all hang out with the good, bad, and ugly.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, that's beautiful. If someone is not living in the northern New Jersey area and can't call you directly to hire you as their postpartum doula, how can they find a quality postpartum doula?
A really great website is Doula Match, DOULA, Match, MATCH.com. Mm-hmm. And doulas across the country can go up and set up their own profile on Doula Match. You can find birth doulas, postpartum doulas, and on their profile it'll talk about what kind of experience they have, what their training is, how many years they've been doing this. Some doulas will even list their fees and what other services they provide, and there will be a link to how to contact that doula. There is no verification through Doula Match about the qualifications of each doula's profile, so that is the parent's responsibility. Mm-hmm. But I would suggest that parents take that responsibility on no matter how they came across their referrals, into looking into their doula. Another good resource would be the same one that I mentioned a moment ago, DONA, International Doulas of North America. They often list doulas and doulas in training on their websites. So you can just go in and plug in your area code, and whether you're looking for a birth doula or a postpartum doula, it will show a list of care providers in your area. Mm-hmm. I also always suggest that moms and dads and grandmas look to their childbirth educators, look to prenatal yoga teachers, and don't hesitate to ask your OB/GYN or your midwife, do they know of anyone who can take care of the new mom after birth? Because postpartum doulas might be networking with those people as well. That's right. Ask your friends and family.
Asking referrals is always best. And, even my patients coming in during their pregnancy are asking for referrals for either birth or postpartum doulas. So there is a lot of resources, whether your friend perhaps hired someone or just the people that you're interacting with during the pregnancy. Now's the time to start asking them if they know of anyone they can recommend locally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Getting a resource list made for yourself while you're still pregnant so that after the baby is born, you're not trying to take care of a new a new baby, taking care of yourself, and now trying to find resources to help make your adjustment easier. Set yourself up for success by getting all of your ducks in a row while you're still pregnant.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's just kind of preparation. And, one more point I wanted to point out, and you reminded me when we were talking about the doula match, some women that are doulas specifically only birth doulas, meaning they're providing support during the pregnancy and then they're actually at the labor supporting the mother during the labor and birth. Some doulas only do postpartum work, so they're there to support the mother after the birth has already occurred. And then there's some women like yourself that do both birth and postpartum work.
Correct. Yes. So there are very different roles. The goal of both roles is very similar. It's to support the mom physically, emotionally, providing resources for both the birth doula and the postpartum doula. But what is done within that role is very different. Like you said, the birth doula just supports during pregnancy and labor, and the postpartum doula specifically works with mamas and families right afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, this is wonderful. Is there any last thoughts you want to share with the audience?
Setting yourself up for success after the baby comes, really giving yourself the support that you think you might need, that you don't often want to accept, is really going to set yourself up for an easier, more gentle postpartum time. Mm-hmm. Asking for help, learning to ask for help, learning to receive help, even when it's not asked for. Is really, really good medicine. It really gives an opportunity to settle into just caring for yourself. In cultures around the world where women only have to care for the baby and themselves for the first 6 weeks after birth, there are lower risks or lower incidences of postpartum depression in those cultures where the women don't have to care for the home. The women don't have to care for the rest of the family. But those are also the cultures where the family comes in, the moms and the aunties and the grandmas and the sisters and the church members, the community at large comes in and supports the mom. Those are the cultures where depression and other complications are really low. If we can take just a little bit of that medicine, take a little bit of that understanding and that information, that support and community building after birth is really important and can improve our outcomes, then that can make all the difference in how we're able to enjoy our babies, how we're able to move into motherhood, and how we're able to grow our families in a really beautiful, gentle way.
Yeah, it's really about support and feeling supported in whatever way, is going to best serve that mother and family. But support is so huge. If a woman's not feeling supported, then it's going to make the whole process so much more hard and full of struggle.
It really, really is. And I like what you said, if the woman's not feeling supported. Because we may be offering her support as her friends or her family or even as her doula. We may be doing what we think is supportive. But if we're doing the wrong thing, right, or we're just not meeting her where her need is right then, if she's not feeling the support, then it's going to make all the difference. Right.
Oh, wow, it's so true. So, Jen, thank you so much for sharing this wisdom with us today. And if people would like to contact you, they can go to montclairdoula.com or email you at jen@montclairdoula.com.
Perfect.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.